Jai Hind. Hello cadets. Now let's continue with our next optical instrument, that is a binocular. To understand the working of the binocular, you will have to remember and if necessary go through a previous video of a terrestrial telescope. Okay, so in a terrestrial telescope, it is just like the astronomical telescope in arrangement and in principle, but there is an extra thing added called erecting lens. The sole purpose of the erecting lens is to make the image erect so that when the observer sees the final image, he or she sees it as an erect image. This is very important because in a terrestrial telescope, you are going to view the final object which is on the surface of Earth. It is naturally expected that it should appear erect. Okay, now the biggest difficulty with these kind of telescopes is that the overall length of the telescope is considerably large, with first this distance here being equal to focal length of objective lens, this distance being equal to twice the focal length of this erecting lens. Again, this distance is equal to twice the focal length of erecting lens, and this is UE, that is the object distance for the eyepiece. So for objective, image formation is object at infinity, image at focus. For erecting lens, image formation is object at 2f, image at 2f, and for eyepiece, depending on the position of the eyepiece relative to the objective, the image formation for the eyepiece could be either object at focus, image at infinity, this is also called as the normal adjustment, or object between focus and pole of the lens, image is obtained on the same side as that of the object, it is virtual, erect and magnified. So this is that diagram representing this second image formation. So what is the biggest difficulty here? The length of the telescope is considerably larger, because if you remember, magnifying power of this telescope in normal adjustment is FO divided by FE. Naturally, if you want to have higher magnifying power, you are going to need an objective lens of larger focal length but eyepiece of smaller focal length, whereas the focal length of the erecting lens more or less is fixed within a particular range. So how do you reduce the length of this telescope without affecting the performance or the quality of the final image, or without interfering with the normal working of this? So in a binocular, we bend the entire path taken by light as the rays of light travel from one lens to another lens and then another lens to the last or to the final lens. So this bending of light is done using the phenomena of total internal reflection. Okay, so in a binocular, in one of the arms or one of the sides, you have an objective lens. You have an objective lens. Now, in this, the object is at infinity, image is at the focus. Okay. Now, after that, you place a glass prism in the shape of a right-angled isosceles triangle. So this glass prism is made up of a special material, usually crown glass, having refractive index equal to or greater than √2, that is 1.414, or more than that is usually preferred. Now the glass prism is placed in the path of the light in such a way that here the ray of light is incident normally on its hypotenuse. So ray of light, so this is your prism in the shape of a right angled isosceles triangle. On the hypotenuse, ray of light is incident normally. Now we remember from refraction, whenever a ray of light is incident normally, it does not suffer any deviation, it continues to travel in the same direction and it is incident on this side. Now, at this side, the angle of incidence is greater than critical angle for a ray of light going from this prism back to air, and because of that it suffers total internal reflection and it travels a path like this. Again, at this surface it's the same angle of incidence as it was here, so again it suffers another total internal reflection and it is reflected back. Now here at this point the ray of light is again incident normally, so it will continue to travel in the same direction without any deviation. Now you can see this was the incoming ray of light which was bent or deviated through an angle of 180 degree. Okay, so here the deviation of this ray of light has been equal to 180 degree, that is its direction got opposite. Okay, next, after this there is one more prism of the same kind, of the same type, arranged here in the same manner. So this ray of light now is incident on the hypotenuse of this prism, and again this prism is also in the shape of a right angled isosceles triangle. So again incident normally, then here undergoes total internal reflection because angle of incidence is greater than critical angle. At this surface once again angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, again another total internal reflection, and then here it is again incident normally, and as a result of that the ray of light is again deviated through 180 degree, it undergoes reversal of direction. Okay, after that here is the erecting lens and then the eyepiece, and finally after the eyepiece the observer can see the final erect and magnified image. Okay, so all this bending of light helps us to reduce the length of the binocular, and that also makes binocular a very portable instrument. Okay, now let's actually take a look at a genuine binocular and try to understand how exactly it is done here. So this is the overall layout of a commonly used binocular. First, these are the eyepiece coverings, these are the coverings of objective lenses. Next, this adjustment here, if you notice, this adjustment here is provided so that people having different distance between the eyes can use it efficiently without any difficulty. Next, now observe this. This knob here, what exactly does it do? This one, as I rotate it, notice the movement of the eyepiece. So as you can notice the movement of the eyepiece while I rotate this knob. So what this knob is doing here, it is moving this entire assembly either upward or downward. See, now as I rotate it, this whole assembly will move downward. Okay, so what exactly it is doing is, it is increasing, it is shifting these two lenses downward. Now as a result of that, what will happen is the length of the telescope will change. The length of the telescope will change. Why this is required? See, if you keep this adjustment fixed, then what will happen is, using this binocular, you will see a particular object which is at a particular distance only. You won't be clearly able to see any object either beyond that or before that. So this adjustment in effect increases the range and the flexibility of the given binocular. So what you can do is, you can see, if you want to see a closer object, you adjust the screw. You want to see a distant object, you adjust it in opposite direction, and as a result of that, you can see various terrestrial objects within a particular range. Okay, so this particular binocular has a minimum range of 7 meters and maximum range of infinity. That means if I use this adjustment to its fullest, to its maximum extent. In that case, I can see an object as close as 7 meter and as distant as infinity. That is far, far away from this binocular. All right. Now, let us focus on the interiors of the binocular. So, what actual setup is there inside the binocular? For that, we will open up the binocular and see all the lenses and the prisms for ourselves. Okay, so this is an actual binocular that is in front of you. First, let's notice a few things about this binocular. If you can see this printed numbers here, it says 20x50. This 20x stands for the value of the magnification or magnifying power given or offered by the given binocular. 20x means 20 times. Okay. Secondly, the next 50 is 50 millimeter diameter objective lens. So, if you notice this objective lens, these two, so this one is having a diameter of 50 millimeter. So, that 50x goes in there. So, 20x, 20 times the binocular magnification, and 50 mm is the diameter of the objective. Now, notice this monocular. So, one monocular, two therefore binocular. Now, when I open it, when I disassemble it, the first thing that you are going to see or notice is the objective is on one side, that is the lower side, and the eyepiece is on the upper side. So, first thing, the objective lens here has got a larger diameter as well as a larger focal length. So, here these two are the objective lenses because now I have placed the caps. Here is the eyepiece. When you remove the eyepiece, it comes out smoothly like this. So, this is your actual eyepiece lens, this one, and if you flip it over, there is one more lens here, that is the erecting lens. Okay. So, when you operated this screw, remember when you operated this screw, what happened? The whole assembly was pushed out, which means this whole assembly was moving up and down when you operated this screw. So, this is your eyepiece, and this is your erecting lens. The distance between them is more or less fixed. After that, notice that inside, over here on this side, you will notice that there is one prism here and there is one more prism here. So, if you remember the ray diagram, so rays of light are coming in here. You see this prism here. Okay. So, on the lower side, there is one prism that reflects it, that is total internal reflection occurs, and it goes into this prism. Okay. So, from here, rays of light are entering this prism, causes total internal reflection, bending the light downward. From there, it goes into second prism. So, one prism is arranged like this above, other one is arranged like this below. Okay, like this below. Whatever light that is reflected comes from here in upward direction, and on top of that, you have placed this eyepiece and the erecting lens assembly. Okay, so this is the actual structure of a binocular, wherein, which is a very portable instrument to make some good terrestrial observations. Okay,